Philip, thank you so much for making the time to join us. I've spoken to many delegates, and I think the one delegate that had the highest number of WEF attendance meetings, that number came in at 12. But I think you have broken the record.
Well, for you, 21. I started attending in 1995, and I brought the labour movement in to the World Economic Forum. Then it was basically government and business. And I just got fed up. These guys were making the political weather, the economic weather, and workers have also a say in our economy. And I felt we should bring the labour movement here and make some noise. And we do, and we continue to do.
How have your conversations changed from those early days in 1995 to the kind of conversations you're having now? What is the workers' agenda at WEF?
When we started here, we were lost at WEF. We were lost in the sense that we weren't quite sure how the system worked, how the agenda was set, where do we fit in, and so on and so forth. What's happened in all of this period of time is that we have a much more organised arrangement with the World Economic Forum. We talk regularly with the chairman, Klaus Schwab. We talk with his team. They take our interests seriously. And when we started this process, the social side of Davos was, I think, largely missing. It was very much business-driven, deregulatory-driven, competition-driven. And what we've managed to do is to say, look, an economy is more than this. It's about people, it's about working people, it's about their hopes and livelihoods. And if you look at the Davos this year, there's a lot of discussion again about jobs and inequality, and that economies are not working for working people. And that message resonates very strongly here.
Right. Let's bring you to Africa in particular, maybe into one of the very big debates, and this is around this phenomena that we call jobless growth. Yeah. Your insights into why we're experiencing this and what kind of policy response is required to ensure that we turn the tide on this?
We have a problem in the world in the post-financial crisis, which hit South Africa very hard. We lost 30 million jobs as a result of this crisis, and the world's economy is only now really beginning to recover and not recovering everywhere. What this has meant is that people haven't been in work, their livelihoods have been impacted, businesses are not investing, and the message that went out to the world from the G20 in Canada in 2010 was austerity, austerity, austerity. Right. And the result of that political action has meant that unemployment has grown and will continue to grow, and we're going to face an incredible jobs gap of over 280 million in the very near future. So when you talk austerity, you talk conservative, you talk restraint, you don't take risks, you don't invest, you keep it for a rainy day. This now has run its course. It's time for another message coming from Davos to invest, to put monies in people's pockets, and to get the real wheels of the economy turning again. There's a reason for jobless growth, but that is the key one.
Right. Let's bring you further in particular into the South African context, where there seems to be a narrative that's developing that the strength of the unions in South Africa is acting as a deterrent for investment. How do you make sense of that statement?
I'd be very careful to draw this conclusion. We're aware that there have been very deep and profound differences within the trade union movement in the country in these recent times. But the trade union movement in Africa is strong, they are representative, and they play a very important part of the democratic life of your nation. You will always find business people squealing about costs, and you will always find business people who get upset because they can't do things on their own terms. Right. Because I represent working people and I say the levels of inequality in South Africa are impossible and unsustainable, we put the pressure on them to do something about it. Our job is to put pressure, to change thinking, and wherever I go, it's not just in South Africa, because we talk about sharing up the economic pie. Right. In South Africa, it's not being shared sufficiently. So it needs government action and it needs business action. It is not right that they are taking the spoils. That's why the economies are not working for working people. They're working for the few. Therefore, South Africa business, be responsible, talk to your unions and share that economic pie. And then you'll see economic activity grow, and then you'll have better investment opportunities.
Final one, Philip, in sharing that particular pie, there has been an idea put on the table that perhaps equity is one way of going about it. And this is particularly in the mining industry in South Africa, giving the workers some sort of shareholder equity in the various mining companies. in your view, is this something that we've seen in any other part of the world? Could it potentially be a solution to some of the labor tensions we see in the country?
You know, some of the biggest shareholders of businesses in the world are working people. It's our pension funds. There are funds throughout Africa which are pension funds which are not going to work in Africa. Therefore, our investment in our futures is in these pension funds which need to be put to work. So we're already very clear stakeholders. I see nothing wrong with giving workers a stake, a distribution of shares. If they think that this will help motivation and morale and productivity, for them to have a stake in the business, there's nothing wrong with this, but it also should be not seen as replacing a decent wage and a living wage. Because at the moment, what we are seeing is the people that own that capital are taking all the gains. And therefore, that's not right. And it's not good for South Africa in your young